Today's topic is based on what I have learned from various books. Throughout the video, I will present what I remember from these books. Because I have read so many books on the topics, I'm talking about the essence of some of them has remained and their names have slipped my mind. The books I present to you as we discuss today's topic will also be recommended. If you see any omissions or if there are books you have read, please add them to the comments. Followers and I will meet with new books. However, I ask that the authors you recommend are social scientists recognized by the world. There are books written by historians and social scientists in various countries who live with the system and increase their comfort. These books could be more problematic for this subject. Now, let's move on to our topic. Throughout history, various divisions have been drawn between communities. Micro and macroclimatic changes have fueled famines, and scarcity has led biologically formed groupings of people to wage war against each other. Famines were often the root cause of wars until the formation of states. The state, through ideological manipulation, pushed people into wars for the benefit of a group of minorities. A deeper look at today's wars, and the more one learns about them, their profit motives and objectives strike one. Creating gaps between societies goes back to ancient times. Many religions, including Islam, oppose tribalism and ancestry. Most religions support universal and international principles. But state-produced interpretations pump a different religion into people. The Crusades and the perception of Islamic Jihad are examples of state-promoted religion. Many people believe that genetic differences between societies and genetic inheritance play a role in the formation of culture. But most of these people have never been interested in anthropology and don't know of it. The dogmas in their heads and the education provided by governments make them think that the genetic heritage of races is significant in culture. However, science is still at this point. Racists and nationalists argue that genetic inheritance influences mental and moral attitudes. Since this thesis of racism almost collapses logically, nationalists add another point. According to this point, the origin of the inequality of cultures is not biological but historical.
Ben Hüseyin Gazi'nin oğluyum Polemon. Babamın kanını sormaya geldim.
This is why nationalists almost worldwide attach great importance to studying history. But history is mostly the official history produced by states. They are far from the philosophy of history. They don't recognize the diversity of narrative forms of history and support their nationalist theories precisely with these uniform narratives. They use history as a means of producing nationality. Nationalists and racists, like other modernist movements, attach great importance to the concept of progress. They tend to read the cultural chains of communities through progress. Far from questions such as, is it progress or just change? What is progress? Is progress beneficial to all elements? They read change as progress. However, they cannot think that the bourgeois class behind nationalism is in constant need of change and therefore offers them the dogma or progress. Like every phenomenon, progress becomes a dogma when not sufficiently questioned. Modernist ideologies have turned progress into a dogma because the world of commerce and companies had to change the dominant idea for their benefit constantly. This has been the case since the French Revolution, when the bourgeoisie began to dominate the world. It has been scientifically proven that human cultures are not as heavily dependent on biological gene inheritance as is commonly believed. Many anthropologists and microbiologists recognize this. Especially in the last 2-3 centuries, the number of prominent cultures has been many times greater than the number of races. There are only 20-30 races with thousands of different cultures. Furthermore, the pace at which cultural heritage evolves, far outstripping gene heritage, is a fascinating aspect of human societies. The differences between a nation and the communities it connects to its past are enormous. The narratives and myths that emerge in this process are not just interpretations of anthropological realities, but also a testament to the dynamic nature of cultures. Over the last 150 years, cultures have been changing at an unprecedented pace, largely due to rapid technological advances. The traditional concept of pace based on visible external characteristics is a construct with political implications. To overstate the influence of these characteristics on culture is to overlook the insights of anthropology and sociology. There is no single uniform concept of race. The concept of nation is a product of propaganda, a political tool used to transform the diverse human reality into a structure that serves the political interests of the bourgeoisie. Knowledge is needed to understand the ways of life that we look at with scorn and ridicule. Anthropological knowledge shows use the cultural causes of lifestyles. In the postmodern world, change has accelerated and migrations are occurring more massively and rapidly than ever before. The inequalities that produce these migrations show that capitalist states act against nature and human beings. The whole world is in a chaotic mess. There is no stability even in the countries where capital is concentrated. The rising right is very advantageous for the owners of capital. They protect their wealth through these inequalities and conflicts. All over the world, pension and insurance rights are in decline. Since the 19th century, workers' and laborers' rights have been rolled back everywhere. Dictatorships are spreading all over the world. The political use of nationalism and racism masks this. Nationalism prevents people from seeing the real problems. Even if people see the real problems, they support the institutions that produce them because of their nationalist feelings and state propaganda generated fears. The links between race, our nation, and culture are scientifically fragile. The difference between culture and biology is a chasm. Technical progress, especially in the second half of the 20th century, has significantly reduced cultural and historical heritage differences. Nationalism is often framed around a defense of the state and is often combined with patriotism. However, these three concepts are not interconnected. Nationalism, state worship, or patriotism are separate concepts. There is constant propaganda to ensure that this is never thought about. Nationalism, state worship, and patriotism are combined with the concept of culture through myths and dogmas. It's removed from the scientific framework, or the state produces science. Scientists belonging to the bourgeois class, what Gramsci calls organic intellectuals, close the phenomenon of culture to anthropological discussions and constantly reproduce official history. May we all cherish the ideals that enable us to live more freely, equally, and in peace. Goodbye.